I think by this point, for most people that play video games, we know that Kotaku is just garbage now. Back in the day, they used to be somewhat good, and they actually did, game journalism, but they haven't really done that in a long time. Case in point, this is an article they just put out the other day, and it is by far the worst take I've seen so far about the opening of Halo Infinite. Now, I just finished the game personally, thought it was great, I'm going to do a review for it soon, and one of the highlights of the game for me was the opening. So I saw this headline and I'm like, are you guys on crack? Well, the answer is yes, and several other types of drugs. But let's just read this absolute garbage to put yet another nail in the coffin that was Kotaku. So here's their insanely spicy hot take, and also I don't think it's a take that I've seen from anyone, which is, and that's what they are now. They're just contrarian. They just like to hate things that people like. It says, Halo Infinite's campaign opening is awful. That's definitely an opinion. And then the subheader, 343 Industries force players to eat... Wait, is that correct grammar? 343 Industries force... It sounds weird because it's... Shouldn't it be forces? You guys have a freaking typo in your subheader. Shows you how little they care. 343 Industries forces players to eat a bowl of misery before they're allowed to play the proper game. What? I'd usually try to open with an eye-catching screenshot. Infinite's opening offers no such opportunities. Okay. This game is actually really gorgeous, so I don't know what kind of... Like I said, they're on several types of drugs. So let's get into this dreck. For a game sold on its wide open spaces, player freedom, and great big sticky up hexagons... Okay, if you're going to talk like this, I don't understand why modern game journalists talk like they're 9. It's like they hired a bunch of children. Like when they constantly use the term icky, it's like, how old are we? Halo Infinite's opening couple of hours couldn't be much less representative. I disagreed. The approximately 700 miles of the same blue-gray corridors and chambers that gate access to the open-world game feel as though someone remembered the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion's opening sewers and thought, I wish that could have lasted a billion times longer. Well, first of all, the opening of the game feels a lot like the opening of Halo Combat Evolved, so I'm not sure what the complaint is. That game's opening is considered iconic, so either you've never played a Halo game, or you're just dumb, because there's a lot of gray Forerunner structures in all the Halo games, so I don't know what you're on about. Well, here's a clue in of what, like, unless they're trying to be jokey, but it's not really funny. They say, at the start of Halo Infinite, John Master Chief. Like, come on. We get that you're just making fun of it, but why don't you just say John 117 or Master Chief? Nobody says this. And if you're going to try to make a joke, it has to be funny. That's what qualifies as a joke, but this isn't funny. Is floating in space, having been beaten in a space battle. You might think, like me, that this was something that happened in a previous Halo that you didn't play or forgot, being briskly recapped to bring you up to speed. You would be wrong. This is in fact a calamitous attempt at a cold open that succeeds only in alienating about 90% of its potential Game Pass-driven audience. First of all, this game shouldn't have to cater to newbies. It's the 8th main game in a long-running series of iconic FPS games that have been around for 20 years now. If you're jumping into Halo Infinite expecting to know everything that happened beforehand without playing those games, then that's a you problem. And it doesn't matter if it's Game Pass driven, and also, it's kind of stupid to say that because all the Halo games are on Game Pass, including Halo Wars 2, which is important for this game, so it's kind of your own fault if you didn't catch up. I have a friend who jumped right into Infinite, and I told him, this game's not going to have the same impact on you because you have no reference for the past of these games. Maybe I agree just a tiny bit about there being at least maybe a minute-long primer about what happened after Halo 5, but I don't think it needs to sit down and recap the past 8 games, or 7 games. Then they continue, it is the most bizarre and troublingly oblivious decision by 343 that they thought that everyone playing would remember the climactic events of Halo 5, released 6 years ago, in such detail that they'd recognize they weren't supposed to know what was happening here. There's some guy we don't know who talks to Master Chief about a war we don't remember with an enemy that only previously appeared in Halo Wars 2. It's like being trolled. Okay, first of all, there's a little thing that's in storytelling called mystery. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. Mysteries start out with you not knowing everything about what's happening. And even aside from mysteries, there's plenty of stories that begin where you're like, okay, I don't know what's going on, and the events are told to you and unfolded over the course of whatever it is, the movie, the show, the game. I mean, let's just use another example in the sci-fi genre, which is Star Wars. Did you complain that at the beginning of Star Wars, you're dropped in the middle of the action and you're like, you don't know what's going on, you don't know war previously happened. You have absolutely no clue who's who and what's what and where we are, who this guy Darth Vader is, who this person Leia is, who these droids are, but you learn over the course of the movie. I don't see what's so wrong about dropping you into the middle of something that you have no context for, and it is then revealed to you over the course of the medium that it is. It's a really weird complaint. I think most people found the opening amazing. Like, my jaw was on the floor at that opening, especially because I had prior knowledge of who Atrax was. So to see Master Chief getting his butt absolutely destroyed by Atrax was shocking, to say the least. I thought it was an incredible cold open, and I think most people agree. Even the people that have no prior knowledge to Halo, I think, thought the opening was pretty cool, because if you stick with the game, which I don't think Kotaku does, then you'll learn about what happened. But unfortunately, a lot of these game journalists don't even finish games that they're reviewing, and that's been proven time and time again, from Kotaku to Polygon to IGN to GameSpot, where they start a game, maybe they play a quarter of it, a half of it, and then they write the review, and they pass it off as if they've played the whole thing. It's pretty despicable. I guarantee whoever wrote this didn't finish the game, so they're still confused about that opening, but if you play the whole thing, you won't be. Anyway, let's go on with this crap. But forget all that, because it matters not a jot when there's... I've never heard that. That's weird. When there's a featureless blue-gray spaceship to trudge along. Yeah, this person's never played Halo, clearly. What is this supposed to mean? This is a screenshot from a game made in 2021 and not 1821 as you thought. I mean, I don't think that looks bad. I don't know what they're talking about. Is this like... I don't know, maybe it's a... I don't really like the whole fanboy console war thing, but this could be someone that is desperate for Xbox to keep taking L's. I don't know. Yes, I know this is nothing new. Okay, then why are you talking about it? Kotaku does this all the time. They have this sensational headline, and the first paragraph is them talking about their problems they have with it, and then they kind of backtrack the second paragraph, and they're like, yeah, I don't actually believe this. So what are we doing here? Are you just writing this just for the check? Games have, since three-dimensional corridors were possible, thought it was a good idea to begin with the most linear tunnels imaginable. Why? I don't understand why linear shooters are bad, but okay. Heck, this is probably a tradition for Halo itself. Not probably, practically. So they do have some knowledge of previous Halo games. But oh my goodness, if every other game developer ran in front of a bus, would your studio do that too? Can we all just stop this now? Okay, so what do you suggest? Are you like that impatient to get to the open world that you don't like the corridor opening? Like I said, Halo CE begins in a corridor, and basically every Call of Duty is a corridor shooter, so I don't get what your problem is. I think I know the idea behind this. It's about creating that moment when you step out from the black darkness of an enclosed space and blink, 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 and all that sunlight and bucolic green. What is this? But this is an effect that can be achieved with just 5 or 10 minutes of corridors, not 2 miserable hours. Again, the gameplay is fantastic in this game, so I don't know why you were miserable. Let alone the absolute, I don't want to swear on this channel, so bat bleep logic of opening your game in a deliberately boring way. Nothing about station, what was it called? Spaceship Gabraken or whatever. Nothing about that mission was boring, but okay. This just seems like a really stupid opinion. Of course, the game had already worked pretty darn... See, I eventually I'm going to have to... Wait, I've already swore on this channel, haven't I? In this live stream? I'm just afraid of getting demonetized. Of course, the game had already worked pretty damned hard to ensure I wasn't in a good mood. I'm sure I wasn't alone in discovering yesterday that Infinite's campaign was comically locked behind downloads. Yeah, I don't know how this is relevant to what you were talking about. Yes, there was no preloading for the game. It went live at 6 p.m. in the UK, and I was delighted that I'd be able to set it up... And I was delighted that I'd be able to set it updating, put my boy to bed, and then come down to play. There's a tiny window in my life for extracurricular game playing, and for once it looked like it would work out, except of course no. So he just sounds salty that he doesn't have enough time to play it. That's what this is. And since he's got a kid, odds are he probably didn't finish the game. The update to the previously downloaded multiplayer build was only 2.71 gigabytes, and I was confused and delighted. They must have previously included it and just locked out access. Even on Microsoft's crappy servers, that wouldn't be an issue. Crappy servers? Their servers are pretty good for the most part. It was only on sitting down to play that I learned you can only actually download the campaign by starting it in-game. I don't think that's true. At all. Well, I had a disc copy, so maybe that's why. Or you can just search, you can literally search for Halo Infinite campaign and download it that way on Game Pass. I don't know what this person's on about. Because no, I've got nothing. Another 18 gigabytes, which sucks, but on gigabit internet, Shouldn't have been the end of the world. Except, yeah, those crappy servers. It trickled in at around 20 megabits per second. Dude, that's not Microsoft servers. That's your internet speed, dude. What are you on about? Do you know how internet works? There's a little thing called download and upload speed. Dude, this guy is super boomer. Taking well over an hour. I can only imagine how bad that must have been for people on regular broadband. You can't wait an hour? You can't go and, like, make some food, exercise, read a book, watch a YouTube video? Like, there's so much you can do in that hour. After those tiresome delays, I really wasn't in the mood for a game that decided it had better play all the cool bits for me, occasionally offering me the sop of walking in a straight line before wresting the controls back from me to do something fun like fly through space. Again, this guy's never heard of cutscenes either, because there's a lot of games that have really cool cutscenes, and yes, maybe that scene with Atrax could have been a mini-boss, but I don't see any issue with it being just a cutscene. I could do that, I suggested to the uninterested screen. I could have pressed that button. I could have jumped across that wreck. I could have enjoyed zooming toward that platform. But no, John, you sit there like a good boy and wait until there's a straight line to walk in. Okay. I cannot fathom why this is now so normal in AAA gaming. So much so that playing Returnal for the first time today, I was completely blown away by a game not doing this. Well, first of all, hold on, is Returnal an FPS? I actually don't know and kind of don't think it is, but maybe it is. But there's a little thing called genres, and this doesn't have to be in the same genre as Returnal. I was completely blown away by a game not doing this. It just let me play. Me. I had to pinch myself the rest of the time. These openings seemed like some sort of price we're forced to pay before we're allowed to get to the game itself. Dude, that opening cutscene was like a minute. You're acting like it was a 30-minute long cutscene that you had to wait for. How impatient are you? If you think that opening on the ship was like a slog and you don't think that was a worthwhile mission, then I don't know what to tell you. Because the game doesn't start on the Halo ring. It was kind of the prologue. It's like the entire industry is run by your mom who won't let you have any dessert until you've choked down an entire plate full of mulchy veg. Kotaku's just the worst now. It would have been better if Infinite's first couple of corridor-imprisoned hours... And also, why did it take you hours? I think it only took me maybe an hour for that part? I don't know. Were any good, but they're just defyingly dreadful. The repetition is like a 10-minute ground warthog day. Not funny. As you're forced to trudge through the same dismal target range combat against the same two enemy types. It's a prologue! They're trying to teach you how to play the game. This isn't difficult. For room after room after room. Yes, this is Halo. Welcome to 20 years ago. Just when you think, surely it won't do it again, that this door has to be the one that will end this effing S. Nope, you hear the distant, wretched grunts jibber-jabber the same jokes for 14th time. That's not true at all, because throughout like my 20-something hours in the game so far, I've heard very little repeating dialogue. The grunts clearly have like thousands and thousands of lines, because I'm still hearing really funny lines, so I don't know what crack you're smoking. Another sardonic, dumb caption for this photo. I'm not kidding. These were the most interesting screenshots I could manage. That's not true at all, dude. Like, there was scenes in that... I can think of a spot right now in this mission he's talking about, I think it's Foundation, that had an incredible vista that you could have taken a picture of, but you're just trying to prove your point and didn't take the picture of it, because there's some gorgeous looking stuff in that place. The part I'm thinking about is, like, there's a couple of collapsed floating pillars. There's some collapsed pillars, and there's sentinels flying by, and you have to jump across all these floating pillars, and it looks gorgeous. So he's just being disingenuous. He or she, I'm not sure. Here's an idea, video games. Be good at the start. Okay. I know this is a radical concept, but if you've made something properly great, just have that proper greatness be available at the beginning. Well, sometimes your story doesn't work like that, dude. Or lady. I'm just gonna say person. Yeah, because depending on what story you're telling, it may start off really dark, and it kind of did, with Chief getting beat up. But I think people liked it for that. This might be my favorite opening of any Halo. Because, we're paying here. There's no plausible reason to make anyone slog through this crap, even if by the end of the campaign they'll likely have forgotten it. Hell, the reviewers all did. Yeah, this guy just sounds vindictive and salty and just in a bad mood. Stop taking the controls away all the time. It doesn't really happen all that often. If you've got something cool to show, think of a cool way to let the player play it, and stop punishing us with mediocrity as if that's somehow going to make the rest of the game feel better. It just puts a bitter taste in the player's mouth that colors the first few hours with the game proper. Oh, here we go. A game. So oh my gosh, this is why journalism today is terrible. Literally, the last sentence. A game proper I've yet to play. So you haven't actually played it past the opening, and you did a knee-jerk reaction article because you're I don't know, you're annoyed with your kid, you're having a bad day, you're just always grumpy, I don't know. It's typical Kotaku garbage. So you haven't even played the whole thing. See, I actually waited until I've played the whole thing, except for, I mean, I played like the main story. I still have a lot of extra things to go find, but I've played enough of it to actually have an informed take on it. A game proper I've yet to play in the case of Halo Infinite because it wasted my brief window to play last night with its BS opening. So that's all this is. He's just mad that Microsoft servers were slow, even though that's probably his internet speed. And he's annoyed that he has like 2 hours a day to play because he has a kid. And so he's thinking about his past life choices and regretting having a kid or something, I don't know. And he's blaming it on the game. That's all that Kotaku is now. Just making angry, knee-jerk articles when you're only like a tiny bit into the game because you just don't have any patience. And, I mean, the comments are probably crap because this is Kotaku, but let's look at some of the comments. If it took you 2 hours to get past the first 2 levels designed solely as a refresher and quick introduction to the characters, and that's very much a you problem. Yep, agreed. Given they take about 30 to 40 minutes even while watching all the cutscenes. Frankly, as far as the first levels for a Halo game, they're pretty good. Now, what really irritated me was playing for 3 hours yesterday, getting all the way through the first island and the tower level only for a connection and save bug to fail. Yeah, so this part, spot on. Yeah, even when your commenters are disagreeing with you, you know you screwed up, because here's someone else that's like, I was wondering if I really lost track of that much time. The intro section felt short. Maybe I'm weird, but I kind of liked it. I haven't played Halo in forever, and it felt like a great way to get back to speed. It also gave me a chance to adjust some mouse and keyboard settings. It also feels like they are going back to their roots. Agreed, Halo CE started on a ship and gave you an opening section before taking you down to the ring, and this felt like an homage of sorts to that. Yep. You don't even have your own viewers or readers on your side. Yeah. There's the new Kotaku tone I mentioned a few weeks ago that I got ripped for. Yep, their new tone is just bitterness and anger towards the industry and gamers. But, I mean, they've been bitter and angry towards gamers for years now. Yeah, it's been on a downhill. I find myself coming here less and less. God knows how many years. You know what I think they do now? This is just clickbait. They make sensational headlines like this, something that's completely the opposite of what everyone else thinks, just to get people to click and read and see how awful their take is. That's how they're on life support right now, so that's how they're surviving. I honestly don't see Kotaku last. I should be reading this on archive and not giving them any ad money. In fact, let me get out of here. I don't see them lasting much longer, to be honest. And their only semi-decent guy, and even he wasn't very good, was Jason Schreier, and now he's gone at Bloomberg, which is also another mainstream rag. So they're just going to keep screaming their death knells until they go under as well. So that was painful to read. But like I said, that's their business model. Just have something contrarian to say, wait for the bait clicks to come in, and then say that people unfairly hate you and Kotaku. It's just an endless cycle. Anyway, yeah, I think that take was terrible. What do you think about that take? Because it's probably one of the worst takes I've seen from them. And how far into the game are you? And did you enjoy the opening? Like, I freaking loved it. But again, it sounds like he was just mad at life at the moment. And didn't wait for... Before you write an article, like, you should probably be in the right mindset. Not be so angry. Probably should let yourself cool off a little bit before starting to write. Anyway, I hope that's the last time I ever read a Kotaku article, because I really don't like to. But let me know what your favorite part of the campaign so far is, and if you like the opening. And I'm on the road to 100 subscribers, and by actually saying this, I've actually increased I've gotten a few subscribers over the past few days, and I guess that works when you remind people to subscribe, so I'm going to do it now. If you like what I make here, please hit that red subscribe button, and I will see you again soon. Thank you for watching.